Please keep seeking out the torn serum. If only you could have seen when the plague spread and his letters went unanswered. He fell into shadow. But now I...
Time. I wish I had more time. Or less. Down in the darkness, my mind was waiting, listening. There was an imp gnawing at me, scratching at my wits. I leaned in closer until I could see his true form. It was the question. Why has it returned?
Gods have left us, if they ever even existed. If there is a God, it's the Forsaken alone, calling us to our end. The others are just children's stories. If I don't believe, then I'm not Dosha. If I'm not Dosha, I have no place in Merrin village. The pestilence brought Merrin to its knees. And where was the mother, the maker, the seeker? I realize now how foolish I was, praying to a circle of stones. The rocks aren't listening. If I don't believe, then I'm not Dosha. If I'm not Dosha, I have no place in Merrin village. I doubt I'll be any safer here in Sacrament. Our own mentor was powerless against him.
Darak, the risen warlord, was born in my own village. Long before he felled men, he felled logs in the Merrin woods. But the woman he desired gave her heart to another, a mainlander no less with royal blood. Darak attacked the outsider, spilled blood within the sanctity of Merrin's Sovon circle. The fight only stopped when Anora shamed Darak by invoking the name of the Forsaken against him. She died many years later. I'm not sure how, but Darak never let it go.
Every meal a feast.
We ought to do this more often, you know. Let Doric and Warren fend for themselves, while we die like ladies.
Sure, sounds grand. If either one of us were made of silver.
Mighty kind of old Gordon to give us a discount on the soup. He's all right, that one.
We mustn't talk too loudly. He told us Caroline would scold him if word gets out.
Say, have you seen that new one wandering about? The one everyone's gossiping after?
Oh, yeah, some kind of mystical holy warrior, they say. Imagine that. At No, I haven't seen them.
Suppose we really did it though. Just ran off together. Catch a boat to Phelan. Or Bayscaith.
Oh, come on, don't start with that again.
Suppose we really did it though. Just ran off together.
Oh, come on, don't start with that.
Of course, the wine is corked. What's a man got to do to get served around here? Must have ordered that shepherd's pie an hour ago. Well, you know what they say. If you want to find a good meal on Sacra, go to Phelan. I suspect the chef must have a new benefactor. A financier from the capital, no doubt. Perhaps he can introduce me. I do appreciate this establishment opening its doors again. I'll admit, it makes this city feel a drop less dreary. I suspect the chef must have a new benefactor. A financier from the capital, no doubt. Perhaps he can introduce me.
We'll be all right. Sun sets and rises again. Oh, hello, yes. I'm off duty now. Just enjoying a quiet evening before my next post up on the ramparts. No, that's not true. I apologize. I'm being dishonest. Captain Randolph, he cut me loose. We sent some bandits to the cages a few days ago. One of them had Savor on him and, well, you don't know what it's like. You can't understand. I haven't touched it since, I swear. It was just a fluke. I don't care if you believe me. The trick is to find other things to consume. Fortunately, Gordon's Cafe here has just reopened. This restaurant is like a lifeline for me now. I just need somewhere to go. Somewhere to keep me away from it. This restaurant is like a lifeline for me now.
Suppose we really did it though. Just ran off together. Catch a boat to Phelan. Or Bayscaith.
Oh, come on, don't start with that again.
See that?
If I had to guess, I would say ox leather. But it seems like really you're the expert.
Nonsense.
I'll be. Oh, look at the place. Maybe you do have a touch of the embrace after all. Seems like all of Sacrament's a ruin lately. Oh, this city's falling apart. Oh, that's Ellsworth for you. Oh, I've missed the sound of footsteps in here. Oh, pint glasses thunking on tables. I even missed the loud, flatulent drunks. Ha! God help me.
And who might you be?
Bloodshed and turmoil. All anyone needs is just a good night's sleep.
Oh, hello there. Have we met before? You've certainly got a way about you.
I'd offer you a fresh pint, stranger, but I seem to have finished me one here before me, which means I'll have to offer me a fresh one for me.
Don't go ruffling at me. Looks more like a mating dance anyway. Oh, don't mind my friend here. He's harmless. Unless feathers make you sneeze. I'm Reese, and he's, well, I just call him Squawk, for obvious reasons. He used to be a Balak Tor, at least until he gave up the Great Nest for ale and my stellar company.
Fear on us. Oh, nahi.
Yes, and to stop the bloodshed. Don't know if he's any good at being a pacifist, but he's a pretty good drinking friend.
Oh, nicey. So nasty.
No, it's your turn to pay. I know you got pockets somewhere under those feathers.
So nasty.
No, it's your turn to pay. I know you got pockets somewhere under those feathers.
Back in Sacrament? How did I get here? I was on my way to Merrin Village to sell my apples and turnips, and next I knew they were rotten in my satchel. Every last one. Have you ever been to the Dasha Temple in Merrin Woods? I haven't. Well, hadn't. Then I was. Sorry, I'm not making sense. I don't think I ever made it to Merrin. I must have gotten turned around in the woods. But for how long? My wife said she thought I left her, but I was only in Merrin for an afternoon, wasn't I? I don't think I ever made it to Merrin.
What a fine day. I confess the transpirings of late have caught me on my back foot. I took a brief little respite down by the fountain. When I woke, Captain Randolph said Lurl and Tristan were being demoted, and I was getting the bump up. I'm sure I did something to deserve the promotion, even if I can't quite finger it. Maybe I should celebrate my climbing the ranks with a small nip down at the tavern.
traveler blind to the bounty under their feet. I am Marcos, artist of alchemy, purveyor of potions. If you're looking for some swill that'll turn your eyes yellow and your piss red, might I recommend a tavern? Then again, you carry the markings of the serum. Care to prove yourself the genuine article and earn the right to taste my elixirs? Inside this cave, there is a rare and potent flower, Iona's bloom. Find the bloom, and if you are serum, then I can make you the horse promise that you'll see God. I hope you succeed, but if not, your blood would be a most interesting ingredient. I hope you succeed, but if not, your blood would be a most interesting ingredient. surprising. 10,000 apologies. But I had to know if you were a true serum. Iona's bloom shows Serim that which is otherwise left unspoken, and poisons anyone else who touches it. Perhaps you are worthy. Here, a token for your efforts, and for your most amusing foolishness. You say you came by way of sacrament. I hate the city. That stench, that scurry. But maybe there are more people there deserving of my gifts. Yes, a decision. I shall enter its walls and offer my services. Once I catch this damned beetle. I come from a long line of potion masters, and I'm proud to say none of us have died by natural causes. I come from a long line of potion masters. Most camels stall in all of Sacrament. So what do you think, Serum? A humble arrangement, but perhaps the start of something grand. Yes, yes. Soon even the birds will envy my plumage. My concoctions will haunt the dreams of the lustful, the weary, the spurned. And you, of course. You're always welcome to sup strength and wisdom from my elixirs. If they don't blind you, that is.
Must be nice, prancing around the islands all day.
This market
Some
wouldn't
of us
last a
work
week without those
for it,
dashing
you know.
traders.
Far as I'm concerned, all this just boils down to shit stains and blood stains. More work for me.
As God made us, you faced the Balaktar. They learn well from the falcon's talons, but like a falcon, their vision is narrow. Every beast of the field has its lessons to teach us.
Was clear last month.
See? I told you this serum would come, and here they are.
Indeed. Your presence is welcome here. My friend is convinced that some threat awaits us at the Weeping Sisters.
Well, perhaps if I had a clue as to our mission, I would not grip my sword as tightly.
The serum delivered a letter to me, passed from hand to hand. Unsigned, but stamped with the royal seal. It said a place, a time, and 3 words. Don't trust her.
But do you trust the sender?
We won't know until we can get past this mire. Serum, it seems our route to the Sisters is flooded. There's a hunter's camp to the east. They're gathering food for the rites of the fallen. Perhaps they can help drain these channels.
Be on your guard, Serum. Don't let the sunflowers and soft breezes fool you. It's blood that nourishes these hills. Be on your guard, Serum. Don't let the sunflower...
Go on ahead. The hunters know these hills better than any. If there's a way past this filth, they'll have the answer.
Cyril. But that's unexpected. You're just about the last thing I'd expect to wander into our camp. Are you staying in Sacrament? We have sisters there. She's an enchanter. If you understand all that, how come you're wiser than I? In fact, I don't suppose... Nah, never mind. I'm embarrassed to ask this, but would you give her a letter for me? I keep meaning to deliver it myself, yet we never seem to cross paths. Eleanor is her name, and Sora is mine. The truth is, I haven't spoken to her in quite some time. If she seems angry or annoyed when she reads it, don't mind her. It's just how she is. Thank you for delivering my letter. I don't know if I could look Eleanor in the eye.
Sit still, Father. Can't hide a bandage with you squirming about.
Hooper's not. I'm not a trussed-up goose, am I?
Oh, Serum, welcome. I'm afraid we're in a sorry state. Foul water chokes these woods and the plague is rampant.
But at least my father is in one piece. He nearly lost his leg tripping over an old tree stump.
It was a barrel, and I was fighting for my life, fending off those things that have taken over the old lumber mill.
If you're trying to reach the sisters, then your troubles are the same as ours. There's a reservoir past the old mill to the west. That's where the filth is coming from.
My father tried to drain it. But something tells me you'll have better luck than him, Sarum. Here, I'll open the way.
It's no mill. Not anymore. It's a saver den, filled with deviants and monsters and...
Yes, and don't forget Barrels, the deadliest creature of all. I fear our hunt is futile. Most animals that drink these waters fall ill and die. The ones that don't take much more than arrows to bring down. And when they do, the meat is wrong, like it's already rotted inside their bodies.
Be careful, Serum. There's something far worse than torn wolves and woodsmen out there. I really did hear something out there, Serum. At first I thought it was a bear, but then it roared. And it didn't sound like a bear. It sounded like torment. Lara says it was my imagination. I hope she's right. The only thing that crosses your path is good fortune. Lara says it was my imagination. I hope she's right.
I hope you're able to drain the reservoir, for all our sakes.
We hunt for the rights. That's reason enough. Lost my brother to a risen arrow 4 years ago this winter. Never even saw the archer. Just 1 minute Cal was alive, and the next he was in the dirt, like he was choking on air. For a long time, I'm ashamed to say all I wanted was to join him. But the Writers have fallen, celebrating his name, his service. That's why we do this. You grieve to keep from forgetting, but you honor to remember. I know if I died instead, my brother would be out here, bringing down a boar in my name.
This ground is like stone. I can't do it. My arms have gone to mud. I'm not a feeble man, but we've been out here for 3 days with naught but turnips and porridge. And this dirt won't give. I can't even get my shovel in a thumb's length.
We both hunters, ain't we? Come to join the fracas, have ya? Me? I'm gonna bag me a torn wolf. That's right, you heard me. Put it right on me mantle. Some here killing for food, killing for the rights. I got a belly full and ceremony enough. Ooh, I kill for the prize. No sweeter stink than the blood caked in the air. If not for the wife, I'd never wash it off. Don't lie. You got a ledger of your own, don't you? Carrying your trophy room with you between your ears. A word to the wise. Seek your prey where others won't. Follow your gut. It'll lead you to the kill every time. A word to the wise. Follow your gut.
Who are you? You're not from Sacrament. We don't need any more mouths round here. Haven't got enough supplies as it is. I should have never signed up with this outfit. The hunt is just a part of the job. I'm happy to serve. Namara, they call me. Because it's my name. Namara. I've said what I have to say. Now go stick your nose somewhere else. Your business out in these woods is your business, and mine is mine. Your business out in these woods is your business, and mine is mine.
We both hunters, ain't we?
We hunt for the rights. That's reason enough.
He's no fool. There's something in this forest. We find trampled trees and boars torn apart like paper dolls, but tell ourselves it's just a passing storm. I know the rights only come once a year, and the fallen deserve tribute, but not at the risk of joining them. I want to make Sacrament proud for this year's rights to be a banquet. Pride, all pride. The forest is full of hunters.
I could live off berries and nuts, I suppose. I'd offer food, but we have none. The plague spoils our game. Personally, I think it's a lesson from the Almighty. Every season I joined the hunt for the rights, and every season I wonder if there's a better way. I know our quarry dies so that we may live. But what do you see in a dying buck's eyes? Me? I see fear, not purpose. Are hunting and killing really so different? Are hunting and killing
Watch yourself, Sarum. Something spooked my father, and he's not one to scare easily. With sickness in the reservoir and savor in the mill, I'm glad this is your mission now and not his. Don't tell him I said this, but I feel safer with him at my side. I've hunted in these woods since I was a little girl, but it was never like this. The governor's daughter and I used to whittle swords out of saplings. We chased field mice, pretending they were wolves. Now the wolves are real, and Odessa has gone her own way. I've hunted in these woods since I was a little girl. The governor's daughter and I used to whittle swords out of saplings. We chased field mice, pretending they were wolves. Now the wolves are real, and Odessa has gone her own way.
Serum, the waters are draining, but we heard shouts from beyond the tree line.
I told you it weren't no bear!
What happened? Where are the others?
It was a beast. It took my Lara. It tore right through us. I'm supposed to protect her, but I ran.
It's not your fault.
Perhaps it is fate that you came after all, Serum, so this carnage does not go unanswered.
I'm so sorry.
Return to their camp and see if you can track the creature. Winnick and I will tend to Reed and Farron here before we continue to the sisters.
Don't go. You'll end up like the rest, torn to pieces. He's got claws like iron and poison for blood.
So it bleeds.
Of all God's creatures, I never thought the pestilence could defile the sigil of sacrament itself. Of all God's creatures, I never thought the pestilence could defile the sigil of sacrament itself.
These men need our care, but we'll meet you at the sisters once you've dispatched the beast.
God, forgive me. I can still hear her screaming, like a ringing in my ears. God, forgive me. My father used to take me hunting in these hills, and my grandfather used to take him. I don't think I'll take my sons.
escape will be safe in Sacrament. I just hope we aren't too late for our guest.
I don't like it. High walls, poor lines of sight. Good place for an ambush.
We'll meet whatever comes, Winnick. Show yourself. I take no counsel from those who lurk in the shadows.
And what about old friends?
Lord Balrus.
You old fool. Why all this cloak and dagger? The Master of Trades is always welcome in Sacrament.
Phelan's eyes are everywhere, and I doubt the royal court would approve my coming. Governor, I have news about your brother.
Yes, we heard of his passing.
Passing? He was murdered, poisoned by your nephew.
Those words are treason, Balrus. Not to be spoken lightly.
My loyalty is to the throne, not who sits upon it.
King Magnus needed his arse wiped until he was 9. You truly believe...
Spoiled milk turns rotten, and little boys grow into tyrants. You think it's coincidence your brother's body was barely cold before Magnus sent the madrigal to your shores?
The church is here for the pestilence, not our people.
For now. But there are few things more dangerous than a true believer.
I've no love for that Selig, but Ellsworth can't defy the Inquisition. That's madness.
The people will rally to you over that child.
Follow them off a cliff, they would. As would I. But
thank you for your warning, Balrus. I know you came here at great personal risk, but I won't start a war.
You're already in one, my friend. Pray you don't realize that too late.
Sure it was wise for the Serum to hear all that.
They do not seem the talkative type. Thank you for keeping watch, but I fear we have wasted your time. Lord Balrus is an old friend. He posed no threat.
His words bore enough threat on their own.
Balrus's warning, the Inquisition, the coming rites, and all I can think of is Reed and his daughter. If he finds the creature's remains, do you think he'll even recognize her? I hope not. No man should live to see his child lost. Balrus's warning, the Inquisition, the coming rites, and all I can think of is Reed and his daughter. If he finds the creature's remains, do you think he'll even recognize her? No man should live to see his child lost.
I tell you, I didn't like any of that. I tell you, I didn't like any of that.
Down there's where I taught Laura to swim. She took to it like a fish to water. Always was better than me at everything. Each time she pushed further and further from the shore. Till one day, she went too far. I had to swim harder and faster than I ever have in my life to bring her back. I could swim out there again, but this time the waves wouldn't be taking her from me. Leave me, Serim. You have much to do, and I have nowhere else to go. Leave me, Serim. You have much to do, and I have nowhere else to go.
If you're foolish enough to venture south again, make sure you're prepared. You never know what lurks in the tall grass.
Praise you've come. It's the Watcher. I don't know what's happened. He's made such strides of late. His faculties returning, but today I found him, well, lapsed. At first I thought it was a figment of my nervous demeanor, but no, he won't eat nor drink. He won't even speak. His breath is far too shallow. I'm unable to rouse him, and I fear his condition is somehow worse. I know that you are not here.
Do you hear it?
Master, you're awake.
Be quiet, boy. For once in your life, listen. Do not speak. Do you hear it?
Thunder?
In a way. A lost daughter returns home, faith inflamed her beak. Your kind spoke the words that sealed the gate, but no closed door ever stopped her before.
Do you mean the Vanguard? The Madrigal?
Go, Serim. Quickly. If she knocks hard enough, the city will answer. And Kaelin is no longer a city of men.
through the nameless pass. If the gate falls, so may Sacra. Hope is new, but time is short, and the world pivots on small axes. At first, I named the rookery crows after scholars. Then saints. Then, when I ran out of those, just letters, numbers. I wonder which message found you. The 100th? The 1000th? If only it had been the first.
Do as he says, Serim. Return to the mountain gate and stop the madrigal. Do as he says, Serim. Return to the mountain gate and stop the madrigal.
On point.
Well, they've done it. They've finally done it. Survived floods and fires, foul abominations, not to mention the fickle winds of commerce. But Orin can only take so much. Phelan's finest. They've blocked the few roads that remain. Saved the lift just north of here. And that damn pounding. Can't sleep, can't eat without jangling my teeth. Shakes my turnips right out of the ground. Next time you're here, stranger, I surely won't be. What's that dwindling speck sailing away on the horizon? It's Orvin.